Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where...
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like...
Fucker! You fucker! Hey, fucker!
Oh! What the f...
Hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime. I'm your online voice for reviews of your choice, and this is another installment of BS Reviews. I was hoping to get to you guys a review of Zombieland out to you by now, but unfortunately, circumstances being what they were, I was unable to see it, and instead am giving you of the movie I did see in its place, and that is the movie Love Happens. And when I say circumstances, I mean my girlfriend wanted to see it, so I had to go see it too. Just kidding, though. She didn't twist my arm. She didn't force me. I wanted to go see this with her. So I went and saw it, and here's my review of my experience with it. Love Happens is brought to you by Universal Pictures. It was directed by Brandon Camp, who co-wrote the movie with Mike Thompson. It stars Aaron Eckhart as Burke Ryan, Jennifer Aniston as Eloise, Dan Fogler as Lane Marshall, John Carroll Lynch as Walter, and Martin Sheen as the father. The plot of Love Happens. Love Happens follows a sort of self-made kind of Dr. Phil-like character guru named Burke Ryan. His wife passed away, and he basically suffered through a hard time during it. I mean, who doesn't? And using the tips and tricks that he did to come over the grief, he created a book called A-OK. Well, his friend, Lane Marshall, who's now coincidentally also his manager, convinced him to sell the book out into the market, and it became a huge overnight success where everyone was going to self-help groups and seminars over the weekends, all supporting Burke Ryan. And the movie basically follows when he goes to a hotel for the weekend in Seattle to set up his little workshop there, and along the way he meets a flower girl who he bumps into during the hotel named Eloise. At first he's upset by her because she actually does something pretty crude to try and brush him off, but he remains persistent, and eventually it seems like the two actually have a lot in common and decide to go out together. But unfortunately, Burke is kind of rusty at the whole dating thing, and Eloise has a habit of making bad decisions when it comes to men. But they decide to give it another shot, and over the course of the weekend they see where exactly their relationship is going to go, and discovering what personal issues are inside both of them, particularly Burke, who apparently seems to have a lot more demons than he's ready to admit, particularly with his deceased wife's father-in-law. And basically this movie just goes about how he deals with that and how that works with Eloise. Review the plot. As I said, this was a film that my girlfriend wanted me to see, so I guess you could call it a chick flick. I actually expected it to be a quote-unquote chick flick, but truthfully, when I saw the movie, I didn't really know much about the plot, but when I saw it, it really wasn't. The love actually sort of seems like more like a second sidestep. Like, it's part of it, but it's not the central theme of it, and this is where the movie got interesting to me. Most of the movie revolves around Aaron Eckhart's character, Burke Ryan. It's almost like I call it the Aaron Eckhart show. It's mostly dealing with a lot of the problems he does and dealt with, particularly with the people who are in his seminar. This one person, Walter in particular, who has some trouble getting over the death of his young son. And this is what really got me interested in the movie, is that it was more like a personal self-discovery, and the plot pretty much hangs on primarily onto all these discoveries and dealing with this shit that people deal with when they lose someone. And I didn't think this movie was going to be about that. So for that, I actually liked that because it gave you a whole different take on what I thought was going to be a cliched romance movie. The romance was good. I mean, it wasn't great, but this decision to go with the developmental part on Aaron Eckhart's character I thought was a smart move, because I think it was a good way to make things a little bit different and a little bit more deep. It was much more emotional, like not emotional like in a lovey-dovey way, but more like a deep, sincere way. And that's one thing I particularly enjoyed about this film. Review the characters. As I said, this is kind of like the Aaron Eckhart show, which is not a bad show to be watching if you like Aaron Eckhart, and by all means, I freaking do. Because this is a big emotional kind of roller coaster ride movie, and that Burke Ryan, the character, is a self-help guy who's, dealing with all these emotional stories and stuff. It helps if you have an actor that can play all kinds of level of emotions, from humorous to serious to lighthearted to romantic to comedic to whatever. And Aaron Eckhart does that brilliantly. I have always thought he was a great actor, but no one really gave him the chance to really shine out properly. Ever since Dark Knight, I think people have been really appreciating just how good of an actor he is. And even though people may write this off as a lovey-dovey chick flick, the real star, I think, was Aaron Eckhart and his multitude of variety of personalities and emotions that he displayed throughout the film. I was very impressed with that. Jennifer Aniston, I've always said, is kind of like the girlfriend actress. She always ends up playing the girlfriend of everyone in every movie. Here, she didn't really play herself. She actually played more of the character. And she expressed most of her emotions like through her face more than her actions. It wasn't just any smart mouth, smart ass remark like she kind of does on the show Friends. She relied more on the emotions in her face, the facial reactions, and that's kind of interesting to me because her face in this movie said more than any other type of body language or remarks she said in the film. And I think that was kind of interesting to do. Dan Fogler, I did not particularly care for as Lane Marshall. I thought he was just kind of miscast. If I'm not mistaken, it's the big guy from Fanboys, and if that's the case, he was much better as a comedic actor than he was here. I mean, he was occasionally comedic, but he just didn't fit the character role. I didn't feel he got right into it, and it was kind of disappointing because he's in the movie so much, so I didn't really care for him that much. John Carroll Lynch is someone I haven't seen in a long time. The last I ever saw him, he was the cross-dressing brother-in-law, or brother, I should say, to Drew Carey on the Drew Carey Show, and I thought he was really good here. He played an interesting character who it seemed minor at first, but had a much bigger role, and I liked that. I particularly liked his involvement in the film. Martin Sheen has a small role and a small amount of appearances in this film. His role is not small, and his significance isn't small, but the time he's on is. But he was good for what you needed in the film. Review the music and the cinematography. Cinematography was really good here. I really like the camera shots and the angles. They chose a lot of interesting shots and just like scenes to shoot from different angles from, and I like that. It gave the film kind of a unique image to it. And I didn't think this film would be more about an image. Again, you think it's all about the romance, but it's more on just how everything is just visualized through not only the camera, but Aaron Eckhart's character's eyes. Music was good. It had a range mix of emotional stuff to just kind of sappy stuff. So it was kind of good and kind of bad. It had a nice little balanced mix there. It was a nice mix of a lot of good things, working all together. Nothing really felt too cheap or poor in all the components put together. Flaws about the film. One thing as I mentioned, I didn't care for Dan Fogler's character, or at least his performance of it. One thing I felt was a problem with this movie was that the romance, again, didn't feel like it was really there. It just felt like it was, at moments they had it, and other times they didn't. And it kind of seems weird to advertise this movie as a romance film, even calling it Love Happens, when it really doesn't feel like they're going that route with this film. At least that's the impression I got. And also, there's a lot of things that are cute in the movie. Maybe that's how it works in romantic films, but they didn't make a lot of sense. Like Jennifer Aniston's character likes to write these intelligent words around the hotel, and Aaron Eckhart would read them, discover them, and just sort of respond back to her for asking her out on a date. I didn't really get the point of that. If that was supposed to be clever or cute or funny, it didn't make a lot of sense. Also, Aaron Eckhart's character, Burke Ryan, has some sort of problem with using elevators, but they never explain why. It's just kind of he doesn't want to use them for some reason, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. They don't really explain it that much, and that's the problem here, is that you're given kind of the most basic concepts here at times, and you're expecting maybe that the relationship will just smooth over that, but in truth, it really doesn't. And I was a little upset in that part because while you have this great development going on with Burke Ryan and working on his relationship, you got these cute little things that are supposed to be, adorable, but end up seeming kind of confusing, at least to the average moviegoer, or me in this case. Final wrap-up. Love Happens is not just about a love story. I think people are really getting that message along, and I don't blame them because I think it's stupid to advertise this movie as just a love film. It really is not. I'm not saying that to be biased or prejudicial or, kissing up. I'm saying it's because this movie really had more character development on Aaron Eckhart's character than the relationship. And in that area, it worked. If I were to judge this on just a romance film, I would say maybe just 2 stars or 2.5. But I'm judging this as a whole film, which is where I think the film works out better. Aaron Eckhart was excellent in this film. I think he's a very talented actor. He does great here. I like the different things that Jennifer Aniston tried here. You got a good, neat array of camera angles. Martin Sheen was good. I like John Carroll Lynch very much in here. Dan Folger was kind of a bore. The music kind of got cliched and too cutesy at times, and they had a couple things in there that seemed adorable but seemed more nonsensical. But all in all, this was an enjoyable film, all in all, which is why, I'm feeling in a good mood, so what the hell. I give Love Happens 3 stars out of 5 stars. Well, that's all for now. This has been Bionic Slime for BS Reviews. Thank you all for listening, and bye for now.